Yeshe Tsogyal, around the 8th century CE, was seen to be the partner to the great Guru Padmasambhava, and is the one responsible for hiding his many brilliant teachings that then led to this practice that we know as Dzogchen in Tibetan Buddhism, or great perfection. So she was very instrumental, and she's called sort of the mother of Dzogchen, of Tibetan Buddhism. So she really has kind of that deep importance to this tradition that we call Vajrayana or Dzogchen, this sort of tantric path to ultimate enlightenment. So without her, we may not have had these teachings at all. So I'm going to read to you in a moment from The Life and Visions of Yeshe Tsogyal, which is a lovely book here. It's the autobiography of the great wisdom queen, or the mother of our Dzogchen practice as well. So Yeshe Tsogyal, before she was a student and partner to Padmasambhava, who brought Buddhism to Tibet in around the 8th century, she was a princess. And we see that often there are many of these great Buddhist teachers and masters who come from great privilege, who, in fact, the Buddha himself had been a prince until he just left that whole life behind him. And we see this often in the great stories of the masters, that they were somehow privileged people living either a royal life, often in that way, who then went on to live an ascetic life and kind of just renounce the futility of the material life for becoming a wandering monk or nun, in the case of Yeshe Tsogyal. Although her status in Buddhism is not just as a nun, it is really sort of as a mother of this great tradition. So she had gotten so much pressure as a princess to marry for practical utilitarian reasons. Princes of other regions were coming and courting her to marry her and all of these, and she just would have none of it. She knew what she wanted. She wanted to find the guru of Odhyana, as Padmasambhava is sometimes called. Odhyana is a lake region, so in the mountains in that part of Tibet, and she had heard about this master and she wanted to learn from him. It was like she was being her heart was being pulled towards this teacher that she had heard about. And she couldn't think of anything else. She really wasn't the kind to be married and such, and wanted to really explore a meaningful life of Dharma. So it's interesting because she knows, in her autobiography, she writes about how she knows how beautiful and sweet romantic love is. She understands the landscape, and she makes it clear to the princes who come that she understands that, and yet it is all in vain. She's seeking, as she puts it, which I'll read in a moment, kind of the sort of the barren landscape, this landscape that is basically free from sort of aesthetic beauty, for the truth, for the true sort of under, what is it, kind of like, I was going to say underlayer, but that's not even right. It's more so the more deeply rooted cultivation of a path. And I think her being fully driven by what we call faith, unwavering faith. So here's what she writes. She's speaking to a prince who has come to seek her hand in marriage. And he just seems to not take no for an, he seems to not take no for an answer. Yeah, that's right. So she says, "Prince, though you speak well, motivated by love, even if it were best to practice in your palace, I will not do that. Young man, heed my well-chosen words. On the ocean lies a bright, joyous place, a land of desirable jewels, faultless and free from all attachment. Lush fields and meadows hold flowers and medicinal plants, brimming with aromatic pure nectar and ambrosial sweet scents, where swarms of bees flit about in great delight. Wise birds sing melodious songs, their beating wings gently stirring the air. Sparkling water flows pure and unpolluted as a shimmering rain of flowers fills the sky. That pleasure garden is a floral green space. Young man, if we were together in that gorgeous place, surrounded by these ambrosial flowers, being in love would seem to sate our desire. Nevertheless, just to see that spectacle in our minds doesn't mean finding happiness there. It would otherwise be the cause of delusion. So I will live here in this empty valley with no people, no attachment, no clinging. Young prince, do not resent this princess, for we will soon meet again. So please, return to your palace. Marrying me will not make you happy. Your family line is noble just as it is. When you stay in your palace, your subjects in court are content. Live with faith, according to the teachings, and rule your kingdom from your heart's spiritual ideals. So, I think she had great boundaries, don't you? Just strong woman. And mind you, this is before she meets Padmasambhava, and now starts taking on the teachings of non-duality that he offers her, which we also find in this book. So anyway, this is just a lovely text. I hope that if you're interested in this, you can find this. It's on Amazon, The Life and Visions of Yeshe Tsogyal, the autobiography of the great wisdom queen, and I would add, the great mother of Tibetan Buddhism.